Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we're going to talk about my current kettlebell program for 2021. Video number 2. We had a previous video where we talked about some unreasonable goals that I had set for myself and why we had set those goals. Basically because we have time to set these goals now. We don't have any other sports because of lockdown that are competing with these goals. So in order to do something and fill time, we made an unreasonable set of goals, and now we are going to talk about how we are structuring this. I picked 18K as a starting point because 16K felt a little bit easy. You could have a 16K over there, or 14, or a 12, or a 10, or a 9, or a 6, or whatever, all the way down the edge. We're just going to talk about my numbers. 18K because I can press a 32K. I don't practice pressing a 32K a lot, mostly because I spend a lot of time traveling overseas and it's very rare to find anything over 24K in a hotel gym. So you spend a lot of your time focusing on your fundamentals and working on basic programs. But usually when I travel, my heavy loads are heavy clubs because a 50-pound club is brutally heavy, where a 50-pound kettlebell is kind of heavy. So normally my heavy training is heavy clubs, single arm or two hand. Kettlebells have been something that we use for learning technique or positioning, and off days is variability for the most part because often it's hard to drag really heavy kettlebells around the planet because it costs a lot of money. And when you're working on a production, they argue with you about that all the time. So if you can find a better way to do it, you do, because that's what engineers do. These weights I have since I left LA, I have an 18, a 20, 22, 24, and a 26. They have gone in and out of availability for me. Often I only have 2 of them at a time. 2 of them get left someplace and I'm supposed to be back in 3 days and I'm not back for 14 days. This is a Tetris of training program idea. I started this idea back in maybe October when it just became very clear to me that nothing was going to open up and that we had a lot of time before anything opened up. So we started with 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. And then of course we have since extended that to 60, which makes a lot more steps. And then we have every one of these. So that is 12 steps there. We had 5 weights available. 12 times 5 is 60. That's 60 workouts done 3 times a week. So 60 divided by 3 is 20. So that gave us what? 20 weeks of training just in this basic version of the program, which is a lot, which is, 5-6 months, no problem. For a while, I was doing it 5 days a week because I didn't have anything else to do. Clubs or maces got left someplace else and I didn't get back to them. So I was doing more of this. That is the whole point of the Tetris of training as an idea, is we have all the pieces and then what's available to us is what we do, and we're checking them off and writing a date next to everything as we go. And if we have an 18 and a 22, then we rock back and forth as those are our heavy light. If we have a 20 and a 24, then those become our heavy and our light, and they all just follow a giant checklist. This is an unreasonable idea. I do not recommend you do this at all unless you have like 3 or 4 years of training under your belt with kettlebells as is. You should really probably be able to press the 32K before you start trying this with the 16. If you compared this idea to something like barbells, if you could press a 32K 3 times, you would then consider that to be kind of like your 80 to 85% weight. So that would be 80 to 85% of your max. Kettlebells are different than clubs because it's much different how you calculate max. You calculate max by reps instead of by total max, 1 rep max, because you can't micro-load kettlebells. But you should be able to do probably twice as much as when you start this, because this becomes very unreasonable very quickly. Because inside of 1 minute, you can do 25 cleans. 50 cleans in 2 minutes times 4, you can do 200 cleans in 8 minutes. I am not doing straight cleans for 8 minutes. The way that this is operating is I start with cleans every time because it's a nice warm-up and it's a very pleasant exercise to start with. And then I move to clean and press for a minute on each side. And then I go wherever I want after that. Usually I pick a theme for the day because that's the kind of nerd I am. And so I'll pick around the leg cleans and then I'll alternate it with long cycle. Long cycle is a clean and press where press moves in evolution from press, where your legs don't move, to push press, where you use your legs to help launch the weight up, moves to jerk, where you use the weight where you use the, okay, all right, where you use your legs to bounce the weight up and then you drop underneath it to catch. Barbellers will recognize those ideas very specifically. They're exactly the same as they are in barbell. Press, push, press, jerk. We're not doing a split jerk, we're doing a symmetrical leg jerk. You could do a split jerk, but my knee isn't that great, so I'm not gonna do split jerks for 30 minutes. So think about that. So think minute 1, left, minute 2, right, minute 3, left, 4, right, 5, left, 6, right, 7, left, 8, right, etc. Clean, clean, long cycle, variation of some sort. And then these ones, and these are always long cycle. These are always long cycle. But these ones are always whatever I feel like. Usually I start simple and I build the complex over the course of the workout, and usually at some point there's a branching derivation in my brain about what I want to focus on that day. If you guys were paying attention in November, you'll notice there were a lot of versions of cleans that we made videos about. High transitions, high transition clean and press, inside circles, outside circles, inside circle transition with a high transition, inside circle to front swing transition, around the leg high transition, around the leg squat, around the leg lunge. They go on and on and on. If you go back and you look at November and December, you'll notice that's all the exercises that I'm using to fill these times. Some of those exercises require you to stay on one hand the entire minute, but you'll notice a lot of them are throwing the kettlebell around, because I'm much more interested right now in figuring out how to stay alive and keep my heart rate in check by cycling my hands than I am in doing pure 5 minutes time under tension without letting go of the kettlebell, as would be like competition kettlebell, right? Where you would do long cycle for 5 minutes and then do one hand change and do long cycle for 5 minutes, adding up to a total of 10 minutes. Because we're doing 30 minutes and we're building up to 60 minutes, we're figuring out how to spell the body to stay alive. The way that we're doing that is lots of variation. When I hit my goal on Monday of 18K for 60 minutes, 30 minutes of that was long cycle, and 30 minutes of that was something else. Turkish get-up breakdowns are something I've been putting in this week. Clean step back, press, clean step back, press, find the ground, and then working through those variations and then throwing them into around the leg versions of all of those, which we haven't covered in videos yet. But now that I think about it, we should probably make videos on those because they're awesome. So this is an unreasonable idea, and I highly recommend you do not try it unless you've done, 4 years of training. Your basics need to be super solid to survive this, because 18K is 40 pounds. So think about picking up a 40-pound weight and throwing it around and never letting it touch the ground for 60 minutes. It's generally unreasonable. For most people who are just trying to work on clean and press, on this channel, we focus a lot on the basics, because for the most part on this channel, I'm trying to speak to not the highest level athletes, because there's plenty of coaches that talk to the highest level athletes on the planet. Instead of talking to the 90 to 100% athlete, I'm talking from the 0 to 90% athlete for the most part, because that's frankly almost everybody on the planet. So this is an idea that you could put in your head and believe that it is possible, but this is probably not an idea you should do unless you're already really, really good at a lot of stuff. But this is a fun idea because there are no competing sports for my time in 2021. That's why we're doing it, because we have the time to recover. Side note, for every 60 minutes of load like this, I'm doing 40 minutes of stretching afterwards. Otherwise, you are not going to make it. For every 30 minutes of this, you should probably be doing at least 20 minutes of stretching. This is a lot of load, and it is generally unreasonable. Side note, Kettlebell Kings makes an adjustable competition kettlebell, and I have ordered one. It's probably waiting for me in a pile of snow somewhere in Colorado right now. I received a notification that it showed up in a field somewhere, and I'm sure it's under snow, so I'll dig it out when I get back there. but that is going to add steps to the 19, the 21, the 23, the 25, and we'll get up to our 28. So this idea is going to go on for a long time for me until I have some other competing sport that's going to steal me away from it, probably something that pays me money. So this has been Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica. If you want to reach your goals, go ahead and write them out. It doesn't matter if they're 100 steps long. You can get to goals if you make enough small steps. And you can always, 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 always make more steps.